Have you ever set fire to a power pole in your yard? We have. We are talking about an incident. We really like to go back to things that have happened and pick them apart and autopsy them
and learn from them.
And so we woke up. This is Sunday morning, that we woke up this morning to a power pole
in our yard
on our pool deck having been set fire to. And one of us is responsible for that fire. And we're not naming names. So are y'all curious? You want to know how we set fire to our yard? How we set fire to the electric pole in our yard? Yesterday we were working on cleaning up our pool deck, which includes, so we have our pool. There is poured concrete around it, and then past the poured concrete is flagstone. And with the flagstone in between, weeds grow up. And we've been out of town for the last 12 weeks. And so those weeds grew up, and we have found the best way to get rid of the weeds.
Or the fastest way.
Which ends up being the best, because who wants to be out there in 1,000 square feet? It's more than that, isn't it? A lot of square feet of flagstone pulling weeds. So we use a flamethrower. We use a flamethrower to burn the weeds. Also, in the flagstone area is a fire pit. And next to the fire pit is this electric pole. And next to the electric pole is where we keep firewood. And the person that was burning the weeds yesterday got really close to that firewood pile, and it caught on fire. But it was just smoldering. And I thought, okay, well, I wanted to burn that wood anyway because it was getting termites in it because it had been there for so long. I wanted to burn all of it anyway. So I'll just start a fire in the fire pit, as we do all the time, and burn all that wood. So I got started with that. And then later Han came and said, hey, what's going on? And I told him. He was like, hey, should we put water on it, on the firewood? Why am I struggling with that? Should I put water on it? And I said, no, I'm just going to burn the whole pile anyway. So I'm just going to sit here for the rest of the day, get some work done, work on this fire.
Wood reducing activity.
Right. And Han decided to help things along by just taking out that section because it was quite low. Like it was toward the bottom is where it was smoldering. Again, there are no flames. It's just smoldering. You can just see because the wood was a little wet, so you can see smoke coming out of it. So Han pulled out that section. He was like, "Hey, I got it all. It's not smoldering anymore. Whatever." Thought it was solved, and then woke up this morning to that pole was completely burned through at the bottom. What remains in the ground is smoldering, and it's like burning into the ground. The pole is still on fire. The firewood pile is gone, so that's good.
Yeah, we accomplished the task.
We did. So anyway, we've had to call. We've got some contacts at the electric company, power company. They're bringing a pole out to replace it, take care of all of it. Like it's being handled. But we're sitting here talking about the blame game and how helpful is it or how helpful is it not. And Han said, it's really easy to look at this and place blame.
It would be easy because we're not placing blame. We have not blamed each other.
And I asked him to say more because I have a different thought about it. That it wouldn't be easy to place blame on anything. So tell them what you said about placing blame.
Well, it's really easy to blame the person for starting the fire. And it would be really easy for that person to blame the other person. Well, okay, so let's just say it. I'm the one that was playing with the flamethrower. Okay? And like I saw it smoldering when I did it, but the wood was so
That's
damp.
new information. Anyway.
Okay, but the wood was damp. I'm thinking it's not going to do anything, and so I just kind of left it alone and went on burning the rest of the stuff, and like nothing was really happening, so I didn't really pay attention to it. And Alicia came out later and goes, "Hey, the wood pile's on fire." I said, "Okay." So I went to go get the hose, and she's like, "Don't worry about the hose. I'm going to burn it anyway." So I'm like, "Okay." So it could have been very easy for Alicia to blame me. It's your fault. You set the wood pile on fire. And it would have been really easy for me to deflect and go, it's not my fault. It's your fault because I wanted to put water on it. And you said no. But.
And then I could have turned that back on you and said, you said it was taken care of.
Right.
And that there was no more smoldering anything.
So, first of all, your public service announcement is if you have a wood pile and you see any sort of smoke, like either clear it out or douse water on it until there's no more smoke. Because, you know what?
So there's that. Now,
only you can prevent forest fires.
So my point is, I mean, okay, so if he had placed blame on me, if I had placed blame on him, what would have then happened?
Like, we would have been in a huge fight all day long. And it would not have solved anything. It wouldn't have changed what happened. It happened. It was a mistake. I mean, some of you are going to go, man, what an idiot. I kind of agree with you. But that's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about is really like what, in a marriage, oftentimes one of the spouses will make a decision that may not turn out right. Like sometimes husbands make a really bad decision financially and they invest in something and it goes south and you lose a lot of money. Or the wife, I don't know. You never do anything wrong, so I don't know. You know, or if a spouse gets into a car accident and something happens and, you know, it sets them back $5,000 or $10,000 because they have to buy a new car.
I have backed into the garage door. You
have backed into the garage door.
On multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, the thing is, it's like it doesn't, what good is it to place blame or to scold somebody or to belittle somebody because they made a mistake?
I think you had a really good analogy a while ago about the car accident, about rubbernecking.
Right. So, like for me, I have a personality whenever I see a car accident or some sort of mishap, I always want to try to figure out why.
His first question is always,
what happened?
How did that happen?
Right.
Like, I fell down the stairs one time. I was 8 months pregnant. And I fell down the stairs and I thought I broke my arm. Like I was laying at the bottom of the stairs with my arm twisted weirdly behind my back. And Han comes running in there.
The concerned spouse and said, how the hell did you do that?
Not, baby, are you okay?
The first words out of my mouth was, how the hell did that happen?
Not, is the baby okay?
Right.
And we're not going to say which kid this was in case y'all see this. Anyway.
So Alicia says,
if you go past a car accident,
right? I'm a rubbernecker,
and you're looking at that. And I've been in the car with him whenever he's done this. A couple of things happen. He's going to slow down to be safe, which causes everybody else behind him to then slow down.
Not to be safe, to protect the people around, but
so he can slow down to see what happened. And also, I've also seen him swerve, which puts us at risk for having a car accident, which is going to involve somebody else because now there's a pileup of cars behind us. So this is the point, is that the whole why something happened and blaming and seeing what happened. a couple of things happens there. One, there's going to be repercussions of it afterward that are not going to be pleasant, because you start placing blame, you start trying to dissect whatever. I just want to help somebody know how they cannot make that mistake again. That, y'all, is what you're communicating to that other person, is you're saying that they have no ability on their own to learn from their own mistakes. It must be you who points out to them how wrong they are. And they don't need that.
Not helpful.
Not helpful in any sort of way. Everybody has enough wisdom to be able to learn from their mistakes. And don't do it. The other thing that you get to do is to help partner with the solution in a loving, prophetic, kind, generous, patient way, to go, okay, so now what are we doing? Like, no one needs shame or blame heaped on them. So playing the blame game is not helpful in any sort of way.
Yep.
Was there something else that you wanted to say about it all?
So you kind of sit there and go, well, how in the world do you move past it? And we heard a story from a guy named Chris Valentin. And as a teenager, he spent a lot of time with his grandfather. And there were some big no-nos with things that you did or did not do around his grandfather, with his grandfather's stuff. And his grandfather had a farm, and Chris got on his tractor, his grandfather's tractor, which was
one of those no-nos.
One of those no-nos, and he broke something on the tractor. And everybody was like, oh crap, like, you are going to get it.
The whole family.
Right. And so his grandfather comes home, and Chris is just completely freaking out. And his grandfather looks at the tractor and looks at Chris and goes, well, I've been meaning to teach you how to weld, so I guess this is as good a time as any. Which really impacted me when I heard it then. But I was not at a place emotionally to be able to implement that in my life. But now where I am, I look at that and I go, wow, what a huge lesson. He didn't belittle Chris for breaking something that he wasn't even supposed to be touching. But he decided, I'm going to teach you how to fix this instead.
On the back of that, like the next story that he tells in that, or the next portion of that story, is how he took the tractor out again. And this time it was a tire that got messed up. But the same response from his grandfather. It was not I thought you learned your lesson the first time. He did not say that. This time he said, oh, well, I've been meaning to teach you about how to change these big tractor tires. And went and did that. I love this story so much because it is that picture of ongoing grace. It is that constantness of, never once did he say, have you learned your lesson yet? He just kept showing up to show him what he needed to know in order to fix the problem. And the outcome of the problem. Like, he didn't say anything to Chris about, why have you betrayed my trust? Why are you breaking the rules? None of that, which is where a lot of us want to go in a marriage.
Right. It's easy. I mean, it's easy, like with a kid, if you have a child, a teenager who gets into an accident, like, it's really easy to go, what happened? Why did you do this? Don't speed, don't whatever. Or you can go, okay, so this is what we do from here on out. Like, we call the insurance company. This is how you do it. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to call and walk them through the process of how to resolve the issue. In a marriage, it may not be the same way because you're not going to talk your spouse through something.
Or maybe you do.
Or it's you working together to try to find a solution of, okay, so now we don't have a car because the car got wrecked. We don't have the money to buy a new car. What can we do to move forward here? What changes do we need to make instead of going, man, now I'm going to have to work, 80 hours a week instead of 60 hours a week because we need money for a new car. And it doesn't have to go there. It's what can we do? And when you learn that lesson, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
It took me a long time to learn that lesson. And
But you learned it.
But I learned it. And it has been a beautiful thing because we now both of us feel like we're in a partnership.
Yep.
In our marriage, in our businesses, with everything, it's sharing the responsibility of the workload, but also sharing the responsibility of problem solving. I don't feel like I have to do it all on my own. Alicia doesn't feel like I'm shutting her out. And she brings things to the table that I can't because I don't see things the way she does. And I can bring things to the table that she can't see because she doesn't think the way that I do. But together we come up with some pretty good solutions. If this had happened a year ago, my reaction today would have been completely different. Like I would have been mulling over it in a completely pissed off mood all day long. And, we talked about how when you play the blame game, a lot of times it doesn't do any good for anybody. And we did not do that today. And we've probably actually been practicing this without knowing that we've been practicing not doing the blame game for a while. But I did not, I was mad and I was upset when it first happened. And I was kind of like the first vestiges of the bad talk in my brain started. And I was just like, you know what? It happened. It is what it is. There's nothing that I can do about it now. But I didn't sit in shame and condemnation because Alicia didn't start blaming me for what happened. Like, she did not add fuel to the fire of this the beginning embers. The beginning embers in my head that could have turned into a raging fire because she didn't pour gas on it. I mean, it was like, she didn't say anything. There was no blame, but it was just like, okay, so we need to figure this out now. Like, what do we do next? So in helping your spouse get healthy, this is one of those huge things because for most of you out there, you've probably grown up with people shaming you, guilting you, condemning you for mistakes that you've made in the past, which are just that, mistakes. Like, even if it was a bad choice and you chose to do it, it was a mistake because you probably didn't know any better, or you had no other way of expressing or soothing whatever woundedness that you had. So don't pour fuel on your spouse's insecurities and shame and condemnation, because there's probably plenty of it going on in their heads in the first place. But work together to try to figure out what the next step is.
I think that's what you said is really important. I go back to like whenever you were involved in pornography, it wasn't like like the pornography addiction was you trying to get needs met. It was you trying to soothe, some hurts in yourself. That's how addiction happens, is because you're trying to get a thing to meet a need. And I know that so many of us have been taught the way to handle disappointment from another individual is through anger, it is through blame, it is through shame, using shame as a tool, as a weapon against the other person to try to get them to modify their behavior. And it's so ineffective. Like, whenever I did that with you, that did not help at all. It did not help at all. the partnership that you get to have in any relationship, regardless of whether it is someone that you're doing business with or it's someone that you are in some familial relationship, a marriage relationship, a friendship, whatever it is, what's available to you to partner with someone in seeing the best out of them, to see the finished work of the cross in their life and partner with that and help them figure out like what was behind a bad decision. Like sometimes that whole thing of what were you thinking is important to have that discussion. Whenever a bad decision has been made and it's costing the person that you love, it's costing them something, to help them locate what the thought process is and what's in their heart. But that all has to be walked carefully, because a lot of times people are not ready for that at all, which is a whole nother discussion. But I'm super proud of you. Like, you felt the anger, you felt the frustration, but you didn't lean into, oh, I'm going to let that rule my choices for the rest of the day. It does not get to, it's just a feeling that I get to feel, but it's not going to become the banner under which I walk. And setting a tone for the rest of the day, because ain't nobody got time for that to rule reign in a house. Proud of you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. For those of you who are in our Dream Marriages group, we're going to be talking about this tonight, so pay attention. Anyway, and those of you, if you're looking for a place for good community, a community of believers who are leaning into how to be the best partner in a marriage, and you want some support in that, I welcome you to come and check us out. Anyway, We're over on school at Dream Life Builders. It is literally school.com/Dream Life Builders, and we've got some good information in there. Hope to see you there.